Glorification of drugs and alcohol in the media. I've personally had a lot of experiences with how this is glorified. I'm personally a big fan of rap music, and the culture of hip hop and rap really engages their listeners through, these very tough upbringings and hard lives that these artists go through, and it really glorifies the life of just drugs and alcohol. And as a kid listening to this music, as I still do, it really pushes the facts, really pushes how the glorification of it. That's really what their main goal is. And as a young kid, you should not be, that you should not use these artists as a role model. So that's definitely a pet peeve of mine, how these people are used as role models, and they're glorifying the wrong things. They should be glorifying, family and maybe even God and religion and real aspects of life, but they're glorifying, drugs and alcohol. So it's one of those things. With music is a huge thing. Personally, as a kid, I was watching the movie The Hangover, which has a lot of drugs and alcohol, as I realized when I got older. But as I was a kid, my parents, I watched it with my parents, and movies put ratings on, so there's the rated R, mature, so that and they tell you at the beginning of the movie what is going to be in it. And my parents had to cover my eyes up, and I was so confused as a kid, and I didn't realize what that was. But being exposed as a kid, maybe it would have changed who I am today. Another personal experience of mine with this would be the game Grand Theft Auto. This game has prostitution, sex, drugs, alcohol, everything. And my mom actually got it from me as a young kid because all my friends had it. I promised her I wouldn't, see any of that stuff. Like, I'd cover my eyes up, or I wouldn't, do certain things on the game. They would glorify the drugs and alcohol in the game. But obviously, I'm a young kid, I'm curious, so I was exposed to it. And that's really, and I don't think it really shaped or changed me as a person. So, obviously there's ratings on that game, and that goes into parenting, how you want to raise your child, and what you want them to see. But personally, I thought that it didn't really, ruin me as a person that I am today. But it is definitely a pet peeve of mine of how glorified these items are in society, and for youth, children to be exposed to it. It really, I don't think it is right. When we look at media, it's a very broad term, and the media is in more depth. Just delivers the information directly to us as the viewer. It goes to mass media communicators, as we see on our social media sites. For example, you see advertisements on television. It really, through photography, through movies, it is what we see as a person, what the information that is pushed at us. Now, when we look into the glorification, it's also a very broad term. What does it mean? Glorification is what is described and pushed to enhance it. It's an enhancer. When you're glorifying something, you are enhancing it. You're making it something more than it really is. And that gives, when we look at drugs and alcohol, you see the media glorifying it, enhancing it, they're enabling it to be a part of our society. What is the problem here? What is the problem with glorifying these drugs and alcohol? For example, here is alcohol. Here is drugs. drugs. This is all I had. This is drugs. So what is the problem? What is the problem here? Let's say that I'm an actor, a professional sports player, and the media is always following you around, the press, and you see me with this alcoholic beverage, and I'm partying, drinking a lot of this, using a lot of this, and what does that show the younger generation? What does that show people of America, what you really are, behind the scenes, and people look up to you, and the kids and anybody really thinks that's cool, thinks that's tough. Oh, my favorite MLB player is using drugs to performance enhancers to be a better player. Maybe I should try. They're doing it. They're in the professional league. So that is a huge problem we see with how the media just puts everything out there, and we can perceive it however we like. At this problem with the glorification of alcohol and drugs in the media, we need to find out some solutions to how this problem could be solved. Some of the things that I have found that could be beneficial is, instead of the media pushing out information on popular cultured people that have a bad rep about them, and show our generation all this bad information, why not the the media educate us on drug abusive prevention, rather than them glorifying it and just putting it out there for us to want to try. When I see something, as anybody, you have thoughts of why don't I try this, and I feel like the media can change their perspectives and give us a prevention instead of a glorification. Another solution we can come upon is making screening possible at a doctor's appointment, so the abuse can be stopped before it gets out of hand. I think at a doctor's office, the screening should be like any checkup. You should talk with your doctor to make sure you're not having any thoughts of any type of abuse of drugs and alcohol. The screening should be brief, kind of like an intervention, but it should be at every single appointment. And looking into other solutions, we can also find that simply having our parents and guardians, talking to us, making sure what we're seeing online is not affecting us, making sure that what we're seeing, we're perceiving correctly, that people chose this life and we want to choose another life, and go down a better path. We don't want to use bad role models. So communication is another huge thing that will resolve this, because the media is not going away anytime soon. The information they're putting out is making them money, and that's just how the world goes. Now, there's actually a survey that showed of 2,000 kids that use social media, over 70% of the day were 5 times more likely to buy cigarettes, 3 times more likely to drink alcohol, and 2 times more likely to use marijuana. Now, if we as a generation cut down on our usage of social media and we talk to people, have proper communication with our peers, and if the media would bring us real information, real statistics, showing us not the glorification but the prevention of this problem